I love botanical art. I've always loved botanical art. When we would go to the mountains, I was always checking out the flowers. Everybody else is looking at the panoramic view. I'm looking at the flowers, wondering, what is that? So I've always had an interest in plants. I'm a gardener. I really love using native plants in my garden, and I've always wanted to be able to draw them. Started out in the Denver Botanic Gardens Botanic Illustration Program. They have a class that is introductory drawing. And so I thought, well, okay, I better start there because I've never actually drawn anything in my life. And it was amazing that when I finished with that class, I went, I can do this. I think I really can do this. With pen and ink, there are, you use broken line sometimes to show where light is falling on the subject, and solid lines. It gives it a difference in perspective that way. You can use what's called stipple, which is basically just little tiny dots, which makes an even softer line. And then if you combine the two, it gives you a very strong image that has both depth and almost a color, if you will. So with the falling leaf, I used all three of those. I started out with just line, and then I did a stipple so that it kind of looks like the leaf is here, falling from the tree, then it's just sort of in motion because it's just the stipple part, and then at the bottom, when it finally made it to the ground, you see the leaf with both the solid, with the line work and the stipple work. I love the radish. It's one of my favorite pieces, which it seems kind of strange because it's such a mundane subject, but it was a very important part of my progress in art. As a botanical artist and illustrator, you're supposed to draw from life, and it's supposed to be very accurate. Well, if you're familiar with radishes, when you get them out of the store, those leaves wilt very, very quickly. I had this radish and this pile of leaves that just looked awful, but there were some other leaves that belonged to a different radish that looked good. And I learned from this, which sounds silly, but I learned that I could take that leaf from that radish and stick it on my radish, and nobody knows but me. Except now I've told you, so now you know. But that was a huge leap for me in learning the art of illustration, that I could do that radish. And then I just really like the way that it sits there on the page. Its leaves just kind of flowing off, and I'm just very, very pleased with that one. It's one of my favorite pieces. Calypso bulbosa is a native plant here in Colorado. It's one of our native orchids. It's also called fairy slipper. That would be its common name. That picture is actually drawn to life size. The flowers are really that small. I wanted to capture that delicacy. And one of the things that I really wanted to draw on that plant was the leaf. The leaf is very, very pleated, and it's very unique. Not very many leaves have that much texture and that much shape to them. And I really wanted to try to capture that and see if I could make people see those pleats and recognize that is actually the way the plant grows. Everything that I draw is either life size on the page. If I can fit it on the page, it is life size. Or if it is not life size, if I have to shrink it to make it fit the page, then I have to include a scale. Sometimes I don't quite get it right, maybe, but I try to. So yes, everything is as close to scale, as close to life size, or as I can possibly get it.